Hi guys! In today's video, we'll be picking up where we left off and finishing this forest-themed mermaid. I imagined her living in kind of like a forest lake or something and being, part of nature, kind of like a spirit. The first thing you have to do is make your mermaid tail, and I did this in my previous video, and I'll add a link in the info box. Let's start with the face. I prepped it like I usually do by removing the head from the body, cutting away the old hair, scraping it away from the inside. Then I removed the factory paint with acetone, gave it a wash, and then primed it with the Mr. Super Clear spray. As for the materials for the repaint, I used some watercolor pencils and a bit of chalk pastel. Firstly, I sketched out the shape of the eye, and I usually work on the right side of the face first because, it fits with my dominant hand, and I get the shape right and whatever until I'm happy with it, and then I copy it onto the left side, trying to make the two match. And for this one, I went for a slightly rounded eye, contra a more almond-shaped one, because the rounded one just makes the eye seem open and very sweet and also, curious. And I wanted her just to be like a curious spirit and very open-minded to nature. I kept the eyes in green tones to match the theme, and here in the beginning I'm using a few different shades of my color pencils, but you can't really tell on the camera, and in person it was only a slight difference. And in this first layer a lot of the colors won't have very much opacity, which is why we build up layers with the Mr. Super Clear spray and then build on top, so we can build opacity and have the colors really stand out. Again, going with a slightly curious look, I wanted her to have an open mouth smile, which I sort of faked by adding a bit of white to the upper lip before defining the smile with black, so this just makes her look like her mouth is a tiny bit open. For the actual color of the lip, I kept it very soft and pretty natural, using a bit of reddish chalk pastel, which I just brushed on because this doesn't give a defined outer limit like if you use the pencil. I use brown pastel to shade both underneath the eye, especially in the outer corner, and then also above the eyes in more like the crease area to give a bit of depth and still keep it soft. I used a pink tone to blush the cheeks, but also a bit on top of the nose, and ended up doing a bit at the temples as well. Then I added a bit of white for highlights, and then I sealed in this first layer. Now from here on, a lot of the steps, especially using the pencils, would be a repeat performance of what I did before. And as I said, this is to build up the opacity and make it more defined so you can see it better. I like to shade the eyes with a bit of black pastel, And I do this both on the iris but also the eye whites, just to get a bit of, depth so it looks rounded and not so flat. And I also use the black and direct it down to define the pupil a bit more, because I didn't want it to be fully black. I wanted a slightly, hazy and dreamy look to the eyes. I only drew on bottom lashes because I like to add 3-dimensional lashes afterwards, but if you don't want to do that, then obviously you can just draw on the up top lashes now as well. At this point I seal again so I can work on top in another layer. In this final layer, I did the details like adding highlights of the eyes, and I used a watercolor effect of my white pencil in order to get more opacity. And I also defined the eyes a bit more just to have a better contrast. Once you're happy with the result, you can give it the final seal. Because I wanted her to be like a part of nature, I wanted her to have like wooden antlers, and I made these by cutting up some small twigs and gluing them back together in the shape I wanted. And then to attach them to the head, I actually used some nail art acrylic, where you have your acrylic liquid and powder, and it kind of hardens up to almost like a plastic-like material. And I used it instead of just gluing them because I felt I could encapsulate the beginning of the antlers a little more so they would stick properly onto the head. Now for the hair, I used this green viscose, which I got off this eBay seller, and I glued it onto the head in sections. I also added a few small branches around the head. To finish up the head, I added the eyelashes, and then I also glazed the eyes. Now let's work on the body. When you have your tail made, we can work on the top. I wanted the top to kind of fit with the bottom being the tail, so I glued on a bit of the same glitter onto the chest area, and once that was dry, I sealed it with a bit of liquid latex in a very thin layer to make sure it wouldn't go runny. And then once that was dry, I powdered it with a bit of talcum powder so it wouldn't be sticky. I took a few of these small twigs and laid them in water to soak so they would become a little more bendable, and then I wrapped them around the arms to kind of look like vines or something, and attached them with a bit of rubber band so I could glue them on later once they had the shape. For the rest of the decorations, I used some plastic plants, which I actually bought at a miniature fair for miniature gardens, and some dried moss and some more twigs. I glued on some on the back shoulder and worked my way around the front in a diagonal pattern. Once you're happy with the look of the body, then attach the head, and then our mermaid's done. And here she is all assembled. I'm really happy with how she turned out. If you have any requests for videos you'd like to see me make, be it a doll project like this or other type of projects, just let me know, because I really like hearing what you guys want to see and kinda taking a feel on what the mood on YouTube is right now. So do let me know in the comments if you have any ideas. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the new one real soon. Bye!